Ryan, firstly, well, welcome to London again. What are your initial thoughts about the Diamond League this weekend ahead of obviously the Olympics coming up?
Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, obviously the goal is the Paris Olympics is the pinnacle, and so this is the final stepping stone in terms of meets. And I'm excited because we have all of the, I say, major medal contenders here. We have a fantastic field here at the London Diamond League, and so it'll be a bit of a dress rehearsal for the Olympics. But yeah, it's exciting and it's an awesome place to compete. I mean, the stadium expecting a sellout crowd with fantastic field, fantastic crowd, great venue, and great weather. In my opinion, great weather. I think
Which is unusual for London, I can
yeah,
say that much.
yeah.
But
Some people might complain about the heat a little bit, but compared to what I've been training in, this feels quite nice.
with 58, 60,000 people in an arena, how many times in your career have you been in that environment where you've competed in front of that many fans? How important is that? You mentioned the louder they are, of course, the further you'll throw.
Yeah, so this is, I mean, it's up with the top, and like maybe 5 or 6 times throughout my careers, I've had the opportunity to compete like in 60 or 60 plus. And so that's always exciting. And yeah, with shot put being a high intensity, high energy event, the more we can get from the crowd, kind of the more we tend to put out in terms of distances. And so that's exciting. And yeah, London, like our positioning is quite good on terms of where we are on the field.
Yeah.
There by the 100-meter finish. So sometimes we get set back by like the 200 start, or yeah, at like the 300-meter mark. And so the 100-meter start or 100-meter finish are like the two best places to put shot rings. So that's exciting that we're in one of the more optimal places to get crowd engagement.
And you alluded to it in the press conference, but it's not been the most straightforward of years for you. How do you mentally, I guess physically, and also I guess emotionally process something like that as well, where you have so many injury setbacks and Paris is the goal?
Yeah, so it's frustrating because yeah, you spend like as an Olympic athlete, your dream is the Olympics, like any track and field athlete, and so you spend like 3 years leading up, all thinking about like how perfect the preparation is. And how it's just going to be a continuation of the work that has been put in up until that point. And then you have injuries early in the year and some major setbacks on the Olympic year. And it can be really frustrating because it kind of leaves you reeling because you have this plan and this path in your head, and it completely deviates from what the goal was. And so yeah, it's been frustrating to say the least. I've had to kind of just take a step back and try and focus on what I can control and how I can continue to progress. And it's been, it's been extremely challenging and very frustrating. But finally seeing kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, training frequency starting to increase, which for me is kind of everything. Because I would throw, and then I'd have to take 2 days off, and I would come back and throw, and it felt like there was not enough time, or the frequency wasn't high enough to kind of like for my technique to stay and to progress.
Yeah.
So finally I'm starting to see like the continuation as I train back-to-back days and start to see my technique rounding into like what I would expect for this time of year.
So for anyone who doesn't really know much about the injuries that you've had, could you explain, because there've been quite a few, and I guess overcoming that is quite tricky.
Yeah, so I had like an ulnar nerve entrapment at the elbow. So I had that hydro dissected. So they go in with a needle and anesthetic. It's quite terrible. So yeah, like needle and anesthetic and saline, and go underneath the nerve, between the nerve and the bone, and pour water in there to try to get it to lift and separate. So yeah, not a fun operation. So I had that, and then I tore my pec, and then I did the elbow, like had nerve entrapment again at the elbow. So it's been elbow, pec, elbow, starting right at indoor. Well, I aggravated originally at indoor world champs, and so finally got like cleared to throw again and start training again the week of Prefontaine. So then they're in May. So it was quite a block where I was able to I would try to train, rehearse something, and then take 2 to 3 weeks to rehab that, and then try to train and then rehearse something else. So yeah, very frustrating spring.
And now to be in a position where do you feel comfortable ahead of the Olympics where you're at the minute? Or?
Yeah, I could definitely be more comfortable. I could say that. No, it kind of is a state of being. It is what it is. I mean, I've done the best with how things have gone. But I'm proud of overcoming what has happened, because there's been multiple times where it's just been like, this is it. Like, we just call it a year, or kind of phone it in, and like maybe we try and make the Olympics. But have been committed 100% through all of this. So done everything I possibly could to get healthy, to get back to competing and training, and so starting to see progress and improvement week by week, which is exciting because at the highest level, progress is so hard to find. But when you have a major setback, like you start the season at 19 meters, you kind of rapidly progress, which is not ideal, but it has been fun to see myself each week throw like a new season's best.
And with so many people in the stadium tomorrow, there are some people, especially kids who may have never seen the shot put before. For anyone, you've probably been asked this before, but to visualize that distance, what's that like?
Yeah, so it's I'd say definitely difficult for the average person to comprehend, simply because like you've got the 8 of the best guys in the world down there. So like they see it and it's like, oh, like a 20 meter, 21 meter throw, that's terrible. And then they see a 22 or 23 and it's like, okay, that's quite good. But yeah, for perspective, it's like the heaviest bowling ball. And then if you went to a basketball court, stand at the free throw line, and then turn around and make a 3/4 court shot with the heaviest bowling ball, that's right at the world record. So it's definitely quite impressive if you give the person a shot put in, like let them even hold it or try and throw it, because average person, like really exceptional if you can get 10 meters. It's like really very, very good for the average person.
And just finally for me, there's been a lot of talk about Grand Slam track and so much focus on those kind of initiatives, obviously being who you are and what you've done in the shop, but I guess as an ambassador for field events, what do you think of kind of the conversations generally, but also the potential for field as well, kind of down that road?
I think the field event potential is just as high, if not higher, than track. There's the draw that track has is great, but the biggest thing is that it's limited to kind of the stadium format. And I think that where track and field shines is because we're the pinnacle of athletic excellence, and the ability to translate that to the average person is what we struggle to do. Every single event in track and field is a superhuman feat in and of itself, but we do such a poor job when we line up the 8 best in the world against each other, and we judge the good and the bad based on the number 1 in the world and the number 8 in the world. When really, like, the good and the bad is you got the 8 best and then the average person, and you're at the 1% of the 1%, competing against each other. So I feel like getting away from the stadium format that track has always had to grow the sport. Like our major championships, great. We can be in the stadium, and I think you can see that like our major championships draw fantastic viewership. You look at European champs, you look at the Olympics. The issue isn't there. It's the rest of the season where we really struggle. London kind of being a bit of an exception. But I think, getting out of the stadium mindset and working with other sports as well, especially in American markets. You have stadiums that are getting 100,000 people for sporting events around football, and like putting street shot, street jump style events out in front of these extremely large sporting events, I think is a great way to draw attention to it and bring perspective. People can stand right there, but when you have 5 or 8 guys that are all 140 kilos throwing a 16-pound ball 22 meters, it's like, okay, that's decent, I guess. But when they can stand there, try it themselves, be right next to it. Same thing with an 8-meter long jump. If someone stands right next to an 8-meter long jump, or you stand right next to a 230 high jump, it's difficult for the mind to comprehend, and that is the awe-inspiring aspect of track that gets lost in a stadium.